Puja. Puja, greetings. I'm getting set up here. Just give me one moment. The outlet isn't working. So I just need about 1 minute to find one that works. I thought it was working. Just 1 minute. Yeah, that doesn't work either. Let's see here. This one. Okay. Oh. Uja, thank you so much for joining me here. I'm not sure how long the battery on this computer is going to last, so I'm just going to go as long as I can. I thought it was charged. I thought I had some, it's not plugging in. I could probably move a little bit if I really start to run out. I don't have the light that I thought I would. And anyway, welcome to tonight's edition of Ancient African Adorations, coming to you live from Cairo in Egypt. And I have some new music to present and new reflections. And it's been a wonderful journey here this past week. So let's dive in. Since the songs are new, I'm going to be probably using my notes because I don't know them yet. Yep. Okay. So, I don't know if you saw one of my posts, but I've got this beautiful new instrument from outside of the temple at Edfu, the temple of Heru. And it's in the shape of a lotus flower. And it's got a camel here representing, the vehicle for movement. It's got 3 little pyramids at the bottom and 2 crocodiles. I know the lighting isn't the best. 2 crocodiles. And so I'm going to start. The first song I wanted to present, also I wanted to thank you for joining me and thank those of you that have sent in your donations to support this work. The first song I want to present is from the Shetaut Neter prayer book. It's the Ra Cheft chant. And the melody is one that I learned from Uab Ra-Tem a few years ago. But I was playing it with the harp and it has a different melody. Let's see if I can get it going here. Make sure it's tuned. Ra Cheft in my catching pet. On the chest, ATM capital. Capital came on the Heru. Kake Uben K Pesset Muke. Kachiem Sute. Manuem Hotep Titi Muata Ashby. ATM capital. Capital came on. Kake Uben Peg Pesset Mood came. Katiam Suten Netaru. Idinek Mood Nut Adiam Nini. Manuem Hotep to Martita. Ra Cheft and Akhenten and Pet. On the chest, Ra ATM capital. Capital came on the Heru. Kake Uben K Pesset Muke. Kachiem Suten Neteru. Inine Adiem Nini. Manuem Hotep to Martita. Hotep. Translation. Yes, it is a Nefer instrument. I'm still learning to tune it and play it, but it's very beautiful. So this is the translation. This is the opening prayer A from the ancient Egyptian book of Coming Forth by Day. Ra Cheft Ubenef Imaket Adet in Pet. Adorations to Ra when he rises in horizon eastern. Anatesh Ra Ke Etm Kapara. Homage to Ra coming forth as Kapara. Kapara Kaman Netaru. Kapara, creator of the gods and goddesses. Ka Ke Uben Ke Pesat Mutke. Rising thee, shining thee, lighting up thy mother. Katiem Suten Netaru. Rising as Lord, king of the gods and goddesses. Idinek Mut Nut Adi Im Idinini. Your mother Nut does an act of worship to you with both arms. Manu Imetep Heptu Ma'at Etra. Manu, the western horizon, receives thee in peace. Ma'at embraces thee at the double season perennially. Uja, do it for joining. One thing I would like to say about the western horizon is normally in spiritual practices, we're told to honor the east, the direction of the rising sun. But in this tradition, we learn that we should face the western direction, because the western, as an Netarian, we live our life in such a way that we don't have to reincarnate. So, because when we face the east, that means we're going to rise again and again and again. In fact, my legal and cultural name, Tchiya, means rise again. And that's one thing that I've noticed about my life is that I keep going through experiences and then, fall or something ends and then I have to rise again. And that's why I'm really thankful for my Kemetic name, which doesn't deal with rising again or setting. And so I switched the direction of my altars at home to face the west or the north. The north represents like eternity or infinity. But I'm not choosing. I'm living my life in such a way that I don't have to reincarnate. If I'm asked to reincarnate to come back to do some sort of work, I won't say no. But the goal is to live in such a way that we don't have to reincarnate. So that's why it's important to, address the Western horizon. Right. The next song I want to offer, I'm going to use the harp again. And it's a similar melody, so hopefully I won't get it mixed up. But, anytime you're doing spiritual work or having a spiritual journey, you're going to have some difficulties and challenges and need to find your peace again. And I was having one of those moments this week. And this chant came to me. We were driving down a road and there was a place called Titi. And I asked my guide, you all may know Adam or Abdelaziz, what is the meaning of Titi? Because I know Nefertiti means beautiful, but I didn't know what Titi meant. And Titi means, Nefertiti, he told me, means the beautiful one who is coming. So then Titi means coming. And then it also means the place of the pyramid or the place of the burial. So this chant, I'll type out the words. Om Hotep Titi. Peace is coming. So it's been very helpful for me this week. And let's see if I can get the melody correct. It's a little different rhythm. My phone, I thought my phone was charging, it wasn't charging, and I just gonna see how long we can go. Oh, Hotep Titi. Oh, Hotep Titi. And you can chant along with me. Oh, Hotep Titi. Oh, Hotep Titi. Oh, Hotep Titi. Oh, Hotep Titi. Om 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 Hotep Titi. Hotep. Yes. Om Hotep Titi. Peace is coming. Of course, it's here, but in that moment, I was not feeling the peace. And so I started chanting that peace was coming. And then, of course, it came. And I didn't really want to stop that chant, so never. But I'm really concerned about this battery. I can unplug the refrigerator. Just give me 1 second. Maybe that'll work. Nope. It's very strange. Because it was charging, and then now the outlets aren't working. Okay, moving right along. Okay. This next chant, let me just make sure I have the melody. Okay. Yeah. So this next chant came to me. Oh, Dua for joining. Maat. I have Maat Lewis and Maati Middleton. Got lots of Maat in their space. So this next chant came to me, was it yesterday? I'm losing track of the days. Was yesterday or day before yesterday when I was at Abdu in Abydos, and I was looking at a beautiful hieroglyph or iconography with Net on one side and then some other deities in between, and Sekhmet on the other side. And in this image, Sekhmet was holding out her hands, with the Nini energy coming. And then, of course, Net represents like protection. And if you traveled with this Unitarian group, they have this prayer that they give you to keep in your suitcase for protection. And I hope I'm pronouncing the word right, Indej, for protection. So sometimes the system is really loud. I'm going to play it. When I play it this way, it's really loud, but when I play it this way, it's a little softer. Do a segment, do a net. 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 Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Do a segment, do a net. 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 Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. I'm going to type in the words in the comments, and you can chant along if you choose. Do a segment. Do a net. Om Hindesh Nani. And I sent my glasses to the frame broke, so I'm squinting a little bit. So please excuse me. So do a segment, do a net, right? Sekhmet is the goddess of, well, she's a life force energy. She's a warrior goddess, healing goddess. She's very powerful. She was sent to earth as HetHeru to eliminate the unrighteous and ignorant human beings on earth. And then she liked her job so much, she just started killing people indiscriminately. And Ra sent Djehuty to earth to tell her a few parables so she could remember her divinity, reclaim her divinity, and return to her position as HetHeru. But I'm learning, well, I've had experiences where I have to bring out my Sekhmet energy, and I have like a fear of doing this because I don't want to hurt people's feelings, or, you know, people are afraid of my power. I guess I'm afraid of my own power sometimes. So, you know, offering the nini or the music, I'm offering music. And so that's the nini. I know they're reversed, Sekhmet, net, and then I say Indej, nini. But anyway, I love this chant. And then Nit or Net is another warrior goddess. She's represented by bows and arrows sometimes, or sometimes by a spool of yarn for knitting. And I have this joke, well, that's why her name is Knit, because she has the knitting, and, you know, we knit. And so I visualized, you know, her knitting this protective sheath around me. So this is a chant for protection. So if you want to chant along, please do so. Do a segment, do a net. 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 Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Do a segment, do a net. 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 Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Om Hindesh Nani. Do a segment, do a net. Do a segment, do a net. Do Aset and Elephant. Aset and Elephant. Attempt. Okay, since I'm not sure how long the battery is going to last, I'm just going to do those two chants because I've already done them before. All right, so this next one, I'm definitely going to be reading the lyrics. It's a song, a chant I've been writing for a while, but I finished it while I was at Abdu. I was in the Holy of Holies for Aset in the Temple of Abdu, because Abdu is the temple for Asar, but they have like 7 different chapels for different deities. And when I was in one of the ones for Aset, the rest of the chant came through. So, let's see. I guess I'll use the sister so I can hold it in front here. Oh, by the way, isn't the artwork in this hotel room magnificent? Got this beautiful pyramid here, and I don't know if you can see the kings on the side with the lamps, with the lighting there. This hotel is brand new. It's only 3 months old, and it's got a lovely view of the pyramids of Giza, and it's a beautiful swimming pool. I'm going to be in there tomorrow, and the management is so wonderful. Okay. I think if well, I'll wait till I get to the bottom. If I move it over, I won't be perfectly centered. I'll be able to plug it in, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay. Okay, so this is the chant for the goddess Aset, and I'm just going to sing it. I'm not going to explain. Oh, let's see. Uja, thank you for joining me, for joining us, because we're all here together. So like I said, it's a new chant, so I'm just going to take a minute to remember it very well. I don't even know the rhythm yet. You are sent, goddess of divine intuition, mother of wisdom. You are sent. I have come here to adore you, to become one with you. You are sent, seeking your loving guidance and direction, awaiting your mystical instruction. You are sent, wanting only to please you, never leave or forsake you. You are sent. You are sent. Goddess of divine intuition, mother of wisdom. You are sent, have come here to adore you, to become one with you. You are sent, seeking your loving guidance and direction, awaiting your mystical instruction. You are sent, wanting only to please you, never leave or forsake you. You are sent, you are sent. Look who are sent. Look who are sent. Look who are sent. You are sent. Hotep. All right. This next chant came today. Well, yesterday, because it's 4 a.m. here, and I'm still kind of on Chicago time because it's 8 p.m. there, 4 a.m. here. So this was yesterday. We stopped at El Minya. El Minya. It's a beautiful area. It's not a very well-traveled tourist area. It's got several sacred sites. It's got Temple of Akhenaten, the tomb of Merida. I'll talk about that later. But this chant is for Djehuty. Came through to me yesterday, when we were at Pet Osiris, which is an underground catacombs with 3,000 underground streets, over 3,000, and 1,100 are available to us in modern time. And it's a place where they have, it's dedicated to Djehuty, where they have thousands and thousands and thousands of baboon and ibis mummies. Yes. And some of them are still there. You can see them. I have some pictures and videos. I'm going to be uploading all my pictures starting tomorrow, because while I was traveling, the Wi-Fi wasn't consistent. Like, you'd start uploading a video and then, it would load like 4 hours later, and I couldn't get a lot done. But this place is amazing. There's the first place you walk in, there's actually a baboon mummy, and you can go and make offerings, and there's a beautiful statue of a baboon. And this chant came to me when we got to go down into the crypt where there's a sarcophagus of the priest. And while I was there, first I was chanting the Dua Djehuty chant, and then this chant came through. So since I'm using the lyric sheet, I'm going to play the system. I would play the drum, but it's working right now. This is sistrum. Sistrum is a Greek word. The Kemetic word is seshesh. Seshesh. It almost sounds like shesheta, but it's seshesh. And this one has the goddess HetHeru there, and then the top part represents the upper chakras, the Jed pillar. I think there should be 4, but there's 3, and I got this one in Abdu Abydos. So Lord Djehuty is the represents the cosmic mind, the divine intelligence. Excuse me. While I make a water offering to my divinity. I'm going to get dehydrated. Lord Djehuty is the cosmic mind, the divine intelligence. And as I mention every time I talk about Djehuty, we have 3 minds. We have our limited mind, which resides in our brain, that deals with our, day-to-day practical reality. And then we have our infinite mind. And in our infinite mind, we're projecting everything that's happening to us. So I have to thank Sebai Maa for bringing this to my awareness, because I used to think that we project outward from our first eye, from our mind, our pineal gland. But she was like, oh, no. Everything that's going on around us, in us, is a projection from our infinite mind. And when we're in attunement, when we're in alignment, when we're still in the Nemu, our infinite mind is filled with the information and knowledge from the cosmic mind of Djehuty. So the cosmic mind flows into the infinite mind, and then the infinite mind projects. And then our limited mind manages everything. Because that's my interpretation, and I hope that's helpful to you. And again, Lord Djehuty was sent in the form of the baboon to help HetHeru remember her divinity. And so that's what happens to us. Like we get triggered, or if our Setian nature tries to take over, then we can, when I was in studying the Buddhist teachings, they would say if you're starting to feel a certain way, just pick up something from the teachings and read it, and that'll bring you back. And what brings me back is chanting. That just does it all the time. Brings you back to your awareness of your divinity. Again, I'm going to use the sachet again so I can read my notes. I got them typed in little letters instead of big letters, and I don't have my glasses, so I'm not struggling too much. And I think I need a moment to remember. My little cheat sheets here. I think it's on the other one. Yeah, it's on this one. I never thought I'd be one of those people that had 2 phones, but I sure am glad that I do. Because when one phone gets full, I have the other one as a backup. Okay. Uja. I don't think I'm going to try to write out the words, but I will be producing a songbook very soon. I guess you could chant along when I say do a Djehuty. I'll type that, but I'm not going to type out the whole lyrics. Do a Djehuty. Djehuty is also known as Tehuti, Moth, which sounds like thought, and also Hermes. I think thought is Greek and Hermes is Roman, if I'm not mistaken. And Djehuty is also known as the protector of the musicians. I don't know if you've noticed, but the theme of this session is all about protection. And since I'm a musician, I'm learning how to invoke Djehuty for my protection as a musician. Uab Djehuty, guide and protect me. Uab Djehuty, writing out my destiny. Uab Djehuty, Uab Djehuty. Heal my eyes so I may see. Uab Djehuty. Heal my eyes so I may see. Uab Djehuty. Uab Djehuty. What is what I seek to be? Uab Djehuty. What is what I seek to be? Uab Djehuty. What is what I seek to be? Edfu Djehuty. Sebai Maa Dr. Djehuty. Sebai Maa Djehuty. Guide and protect me. Uab Djehuty. Guide and protect me. Uab Djehuty. Writing out my destiny. Uab Djehuty. Writing out my destiny. Uab Djehuty. Heal my eyes so I may see. Uab Djehuty. Heal my eyes so I may see. Uab Djehuty. What is what I seek to be? Uab Djehuty. What is what I seek to be? Edfu Djehuty. Sebai Maa Edfu Djehuty. Sebai Maa Attempt. Yes, so that part about writing out my destiny. I'm not sure which conference it was a few years ago, but again, Sebai Maa. Well, no, I guess let me just say do a Sebai Maa and do a Sebai Maa because I can't really remember which one told us to do this. But first, they told us to write out our intentions for the new year, to write out our destiny and to guide us. And, when we're living by Ma'at, it's not about our ego, it's about our purified heart. And, Dua, Bastu Baket, it was the Nigerian Conference 2017. And Sebai Maa asked us to do that assignment. Dua, Bastu Baket, I call her our Sekhmet. She keeps up with all these details. She's like a she's a Aku filing cabinet. She has all this information at her fingertips. I don't know how you do it. I bow down to you, Bastu Baket. Yes. So that's where I am right now in my journey. I've been going through a lot of adversities, and I had to CACAB, what I want to do, how I want things to be, how I think things should be. I'm disappointed things aren't going the way I want. I'm down on myself because I can't figure out how things should be moving. And Dr. Ma'at is always there to remind me to let Djehuty do this. It's just my RU, whatever's happening. It's not about what's happening. It's how I respond to what's happening. I don't want to react out of anger or fear or doubt or set. I want to respond with Ma'at Adi. So I'm allowing Djehuty to, set it out, and Sasheta is, keeping track of everything that is coming. Attack. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get through all the songs before my battery dies. All right. The next chant, Okay, so I did the song for Aset because at every session I try to have at least one song for Aset and one song for Ma'at. In this session, I have several songs for Ma'at. So Ma'at is the goddess of balance, truth, order, harmony, justice, reciprocity, and righteousness. And as I mentioned before, it's not about this is justice and this is not justice. It's about the scale of justice. I mean, the scale of Ma'at, and it may be like this. We want it to be like this, but it may be like this. It may be like this. It's not up to me. It's Ma'at. It's our REU. It's the impressions in our heart. We have to purify our hearts so that our heart is light as a feather. And then Ma'ati are the dual goddesses of Ma'at. Like in my name, I read Neter as Meri Ma'ati. Ma'ati represents the dual goddesses, the two serpents, Aset and Nebuchadnezzar, Isis and Nephthys, with Asar, the soul, in the center. Aset represents our spirituality, and Nebuchadnezzar represents our mortality, our physical, our practicality. And in the path that I'm walking on, I don't know if I chose this path or this is the path that I'm on, is to find a balance between the two. In my life, I've either been focused on spiritual and the physical was ignored, or then I'm trying to figure out the practical realities and my spiritual life is, in shambles. So I'm looking for that balance between the two so that I can move forward, so that my soul can be released. Like in that, the iconography at Denderah that I saw the other day, where after Asar had been attacked and dismembered by his brother Set, Aset and Nebuchadnezzar, and also had to perform the healing rituals. You go around the temple walls, and then at one point you see where the soul was released. The soul of Asar was released from his body. And so in my meditations and reflections, I realized that the place that I am in my path right now is my physical, practical, ego-based life is ending, and my spirit-based life is beginning. And I have to cack-ab my desires, goals, intentions, passions, likes, dislikes from my ego-based reality so that my soul can be released and I can move forward into eternity. Because that's the goal. The goal is not to come back here, is to get all this stuff cleansed. So anyway, I'm going to see what happens if I move away from the center, if this will start charging. Because like I said, I thought everything was charging earlier, and then when it was time to begin, it wasn't. Oh, hey! Okay, now I can relax. So it's not quite centered like it was before, but it's still very beautiful. Okay, I'm going to just be so grateful. I'm very grateful right now that worked, because that would have been a disaster. Okay, it wouldn't have been a disaster. It would have just been the reality of the situation, but for some reason it's charging now. I don't know why it's working now. I guess they just were testing me to see if I would freak out, and I didn't. Okay, so this next chant is very dear to me. This is my second time on this musical initiatic journey that Abdelaziz or Adam arranged for me so that I could really be more grounded in my music and this spiritual devotional music. And the first time I came on this journey, we started at Minya, and everything was just such a blur. I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't. I was just so excited. But on this journey, we started in Aswan and moved up to Cairo, and so Minya was the last stop before Cairo. And like I said, we visited the Djehuty catacombs, the Pet Cyrus, and I'm going to talk about Akhenaten in a little while. I don't know if I have that chant on here. Well, I'll still talk about it. Yeah, because now I'm not rushing, so I can go back to the other ones. But at the tomb for Merida, if you ever get the chance to go, it's so beautiful. The colors in that temple or the tomb, they're so well preserved. I guess it was filled with sand for so long that it's just so beautiful. And Merida was the priest that carried the fan for the king of Akhenaten. Oh yeah, this is part of Akhenaten. Merida is the tomb at the site for Akhenaten. And Merida is the one that carried the fan. So he was like the highest priest because, if you're living in the desert in the summertime, you're going to need someone that you really trust to be right next to you holding the fan because, it could be a Decepticon or a traitor that's holding the fan. So the the one holding the fan is your most trusted priest. And so in this tomb, there is under one of the big, beautiful artwork iconographies right next to the door, way, way down at the bottom. It's kind of tiny, not very big. There is the blind harpist. The blind harpist and then the blind clappers. So they're the musicians. That was the purpose of this tour, is to visit all the sites with musicians or musical references. And so, like the first time I came on the journey, the blind harpist was the first thing that that we were shown, and I was like, I was so excited. I took all these pictures, and I was traveling with a companion who was new to the teaching, so I didn't really have a chance to meditate and reflect. But this time it was a private tour. There was nobody else but Abdelaziz or Adam and myself. So I was able to just, reflect, and I wasn't rushed. And, now I have two harps. I have the Ghanaian harp, and now I have this beautiful harp that I just treasure. I know you shouldn't be attached, but I love playing the harp. I don't know if you remember my story. My great grandmother, Annabelle Spurlock Gray, was a musician in the 1880s, 1890s. And she had a gig on a ferry boat, and she played the piano, the cello, and the harp. And so I decided to learn how to play the African harp to honor her, because I already played the piano and the keyboards, of course. But anyway, I'm digressing. So the blind harpist, right? So I was sitting there, trying to understand why it's the blind harpist. And I talked to Abdelaziz about it, to Adam. And he said, well, it could just be symbolic. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's blind. He could just be symbolic. So I was meditating, and what came to me is the temple musician, this blind harpist, was in this space with this beautiful artwork, and that the tomb of Merida, the outer shrine or outer courtyard, shows illustrations of life in ancient Egypt, like the farming and the cattle and the scribes taking measurements, writing down weighing things out, measuring things. But the musician is blind to all of this, all the beautiful details of the palace or the temples and all the rituals. He can't see the rituals, can't see who the king is, can't see what the priest is wearing, can't see who's coming or going. Is blind to all of that, to all of the illusion. The temple musician is blind to the illusions of day-to-day life, blind to the ignorance, blind to people's ego personalities, and is only bringing forth the music from within. So I had a few experiences this week after being at the temple. When I came home, and lay down, have my eyes closed, I was seeing beautiful colors, the hieroglyphs and the iconography, beautiful, like blackness, but beautiful outlines of colors. And hieroglyphs seemed to be moving, and the people, like these hieroglyphs, and the people were moving, and it was an amazing, it only lasted a few moments. And I've only had that experience a few other times. One time I got to do what's called the dark room, where I was in complete darkness for 8 days and 8 nights. And even though it was complete darkness, I would see colors, like based on my emotions. Like if I was crying about something, because it's a purifying experience. If I was sad about something, the colors would be one, like orange. If I was having angry thoughts or angry memories, it would be red. And if I was peaceful, it would be this beautiful aquamarine blue. And sometimes it would just be, like, not like the room is filled with light, but little light particles just like raining down all around me. And then the other times that I've had experiences like that was when I was a very young girl, like 5 or 6. I don't know how old. Maybe I was 4. When I would go to church. We went to church, and my favorite part was when they'd say, pray, and I would go like this. I didn't know what they were talking about. Once they told me that the church had to pay bills, that's when I knew it was a fraud. I was like, the church has to pay bills too? Then it's not really a divine place. They're just paying bills. That means they're bringing in money and they're paying bills. But anyway, when I would go like this, and even now when I go like this, I see beautiful, bright colors. When I was a little girl, I interpreted it as like confetti and balloons and party streamers. But now I see geometrical images, or for as long as I can remember, I would see the symbol of Arit, like the outline of the eye, like an oval. It's not really an oval, but it's like a leaf. I think you can see one there. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Here it is right here. It's like this. I would see that, and then when Sebai Maa gave me that name, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been seeing that symbol my whole life." But anyway, I'm digressing, just sharing all these stories. But anyway, so that was the powerful culminating message of my journey this week. Is that as the musician, the temple musician, in order for the music to be pure and for me to bring the music from my soul out to heal myself and to heal others, I have to be blind to all the illusoriness, even going on in the temple. Because you think, well, you're in the temple, everyone's enlightened, everyone is a light being, everyone is aware. Yes, we're all here, but we're all here because we have a lot of work to do on our RU. What does it say? Ego wiggle room. So I have to learn how to be blind to all of those things, because they're weighing me down, causing my heart to be heavy and for me to be sad and disappointed and to separate from people that I care about. And I'm taking that Temple of Aset course, and one of the assignments Sebai Maa gave to me is to reflect on how Lady Aset and Goddess Aset deal with toxic family relationships, because that's what I was noticing, is that the more I develop spiritually, or the more that I attempt to turn away from worldliness and illusion, that toxic people pull away from me. Because I'm sure you've heard my story. My oldest daughter hasn't spoken to me in 10 years. And this year I'm determined to cack ab that situation. I'm not saying I'm going to forget about my daughter, but I'm going to let go of the pain and sadness that it causes me, and maybe someday she'll come back into my life. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to develop spiritually and continue moving forward on my journey. And mostly to love myself. On this trip, the first week of the trip, I was still suffering some physical pain from, I had a dental issue before I left town. And me being a naturalist, I didn't want to take the pharmaceuticals, drugs for, purification and pain killing. And I know how to deal with things naturally. But since I moved to Chicago, I wasn't taking care of my dental health. I really wasn't taking care of my health. I was very just chaotic. And it's been very cold in the building. There was no heat. And it wasn't healing. It was so cold. It wasn't healing. And I'm so grateful I'm in Kemet right now because there's a snowstorm in Chicago. It's a blizzard. And so anyway, I had to surrender, and Abdelaziz took me to his dentist, and they gave me the prescription so that I'm able to have the second half of the journey pain-free. But anyway, learning to love myself. Like all the music I've been putting out for 30 years or more, I was so depressed about my trauma. I decided that rather than ending my life, I would just help others. And I wasn't helping myself. Like as soon as I would write a song, I would share it. It was more important about sharing it with people so that they can get the healing. But I wasn't giving myself time or space to receive the healing. So all that's changing now. And so this chant is about that. It's about, using my creativity to allow myself to be healed. And then when I share it with others, it helps with their healing as well. So I don't need the lyric sheet. I'm just going to play the drums and type out the lyrics. Okay. So like I said before, this was at the site at Akhenaten. Oh, I didn't say anything about Akhenaten. Okay. Okay. Let me just take a moment. So I'm still going to do the chant, but I want to say what I learned about Akhenaten today. Just have a little bit more water. So Akhenaten, Abdelaziz has been teaching me the timeline, and I've been studying with Sebai Maa for a while. The timeline, I don't have it all together, so I'm sure Bastu Baket knows it. So Akhenaten was the king that had cacabed his contemporary Kemetic life. Like he was fed up with the priests and priestesses because by this time they had become corrupt. And in my opinion, the corruption of the priests and priestesses is what really led to the downfall of ancient Kemet. And so it's up to us in this time to bring it back. Okay, that's what I realized as aspirants and as initiates and priests and priestesses. We're purifying our RU, purifying our lives, and we're going to help bring about the purification so that we can raise it up again. So Akhenaten, I can't remember what his name was before, but he changed his name. He moved away from the city. He moved away from the hustle bustle. He moved away from everything that was going on in Egypt and set up his temple and palace way out in the countryside, way out in the middle of nowhere. And nobody would work with him because he decided that instead of all this division and separation, we have one God and all these aspects are the rays of the sun, not each individual temple, each individual god, goddess, etc., causing all this conflict and chaos and clashes and egos and everything. The priests and priestesses were, demanding to be paid. Like when you go to the temples now, the guards need to be paid. You have to like slip them a tip and all this other stuff, which is fine. I understand that they have to stay alive too. But when I was at Abdu, was it Abdu? It might have been HetHeru. I have video. They're in there smoking cigarettes while they're doing the restorations. But anyway, so Akhenaten moved out to the countryside. He set up his temple. The priests and priestesses back in the city and all the contractors and stuff, they wouldn't work with him. They wouldn't send him the materials for him to build his temple. So he actually used mud bricks. And that's why his temples are ruins, because, they didn't survive all these millennia, all these centuries. But the foundations are still there. You can see where the structures were and the ruins and everything. But he moved way out there and set up, so you worshiping the sun, the sun god, Aten, and the rays of the sun, Aten, Akhenaten. And so what I realized was Akhenaten set out to unify Kemet spiritually, but to get us back to Nebuchadnezzar, like the oneness that we all share, the oneness of the Neteru, not the individual rays, but how they all are one. And then, he lived out his life. He lived his reign. He left his mark. He left his powerful message. But then after he died, of course, his descendants went back to the city with all the splendor and the grandeur and, Luxor and Karnak. And let's see. So Ramses, Tutmosis, Hatshepsut, they're all related to him. And I apologize, I don't have the exact order, but they all came after him. And they were able to unify Upper and Lower Egypt in the physical sense, right? So Akhenaten did it in the spiritual sense, and his descendants did it in the physical sense. And that really hit me hard. Like, wow, that's very meaningful. It's very meaningful. So I'm really going to be reflecting on this more and more, because in modern times, we've got to purify ourselves and get to the point where we can unite spiritually. All these different tribes and nations and religions and people all over the world, we all agree that there's one deity. We just have different names, right? That's one of the not the four great truths, but I guess it is four great truths. Yeah, four great truths. Panater, U, and Ebejer, and Neteru. Yeah. So we have to unite spiritually so that we can unite physically. Because how else are we going to have peace? Not the peace like PIECE, or peace where, well, I have my piece of peace, but those people over there are going to suffer. Like here in America, we've got all these conveniences, plastic bags, disposable this or that. But man, the people in China are suffering because to make that plastic, it's destroyed their air. And they're, that's not peace. If we're at peace and someone else is at war, or we're living in comfort and someone else is living in destitution and poverty and ignorance and sickness, then how can we say we have peace? We're sitting in the temple and, we're meditating and everything, and then people outside are just suffering. That's not going to work for this aspirant. There's got to be supreme peace, which is beyond the duality, the true unity, right? So that's an aspect of my path or my mission from this moment onwards. So that's what I wanted to share about Akhenaten. Now back to the chant. Let me just back to that, because I already Forgot it. And if anyone has any comments or reflections, please type them in the comments. If that resonates with you, I'd love to know. I guess it's on this one. Oh, let's see. Just give me 1 second to review. Oh, I just learned it today. It's all still really new to me. Of course, now I'm having trouble finding it. Should be right here. Okay, just 1 more minute. Guess it is on this one. I didn't see it. Akhenaten. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, Meri Maati Meri Ra. So Meri Maati, of course, is referring to, loving myself. Meri Maati, Meri Ra, the temple of Meri Ra, but also about beloved by the dual goddesses of Ma'at and beloved of Ra. So Ra represents the creative energy, the creative force, and Ma'ati represents the balance of the physical and spiritual. Okay. And I love this drum. I can't remember where it's from, somewhere in Africa, but it's so compact and it's so sturdy. I can travel with it very easily and not worry about it breaking. And it kind of looks like a sun. I don't know if you can see the little rays coming on the edges. You're supposed to play it like this with a stick. I've seen it on YouTube where they spin it like this and hit it with a stick so fast. I can't do that yet. Maybe someday. So I wrote down the lyrics. So I'm going to chant it and then leave space for you to respond if you so choose. So Meri Maati, beloved by the dual goddesses of Ma'at, Meri Ra, beloved of Ra. And this chant came through while I was at the tomb of Meri Ra, the site of Akhenten in El Amarna in El Minya, which is just south or north of Cairo. I guess it's still south, even though it's below the equator. I'm not sure. Meri Maati, Meri Ra. Meri Maati, Meri Ra. Meri Ra. Meri Maati, Meri Ra. Meri Maati, Meri Ra. Meri Maati, Meri Ra. Mati Meri Ra. Meri Mati Meri Ra. Meri Mati Meri Ra. Meri Rati Meri Ra. Meri Mati 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 Meri Ra. Hotep. Yes, indeed. Using our creativity to bring about Ma'at, to bring about the balance of the dual goddesses, to bring about Sima, to bring about purification of our RU, to bring about purification so that we can unite spiritually and physically through our creativity. Attempt. You like that one? Okay. This is another very new favorite. Dua. Yes, they're all very nefer. I could just write music all day and play it and sing it. Okay, so I get to return to the harp. This is another Ma'at offering. This is a new harp instrument. See if I can, so you can see the fingering better. Okay, this is another one that came through when I was really feeling sad and alone and discouraged. I was feeling very weak, still feeling some pain, discomfort. I was crying. I was crying while I was in Kemet. I was like, "Are you crazy? You're that." And another thing I want to add is I want to mention I came in 2018 on my first musical initiatic pilgrimage with Abdelaziz. SacredJourneyEgypt.com. If you're interested in having one of these amazing spiritual journeys, you need to reach out to Abdelaziz for your personal private tour, SacredJourneyEgypt.com. Or, of course, if you want to come with our spiritual preceptors with Sebai Maa, because Sebai Maa is taking a break from leading the tour. So Sebai Maa is doing wonderful work, and you can find out about that at EgyptianYoga.com for the teachings from the preceptors. But I came in 2018 in October because I wanted to go to the festival at the Abu Simbel on October 22nd when the sunlight comes through the doorway and lights up this 3 statues of Ra, Amun, and Ramses II. And the statue of Ptah is left in the dark, in the shadow. And it does that for 22 minutes on the 22nd. And I wasn't able to come back October 22nd of 2019, but I came for February 22nd of 2020. And, how I am. I'm kind of last minute, like always just, I was packing the day to leave for the airport. And I just happened to look at my phone to see what the weather was because I assumed it was going to be hot. It's in Egypt in the desert. And I said, oh my gosh, it's only 50 degrees. And I had gone to the laundromat that morning to do laundry and it wasn't all dry. So I couldn't, I didn't take my sweaters or sweatshirts. I think I only brought like 2 long sleeve shirts and I brought 2 jackets like this. And let me tell you, it's been cold. I had on like 3 or 4 layers. I was cold. I had on my little woolen cap and my scarf. And on the boat ride, I had my gloves. People are walking around in woolen coats in Egypt. I was like, what? When I got off the plane in Aswan, I was looking for Abdelaziz, Adam. I didn't even see him because he had on a sweatshirt, hoodie, and a coat and a scarf. So if you ever, want to come to get away from the cold, if you live like in Chicago, yeah, it's not a blizzard. It's not as cold as it is in Chicago. In trouble because I just brought summer clothes. And luckily I had the 2 long sleeve shirts because I wanted to have something warm to wear on the ride home, not thinking I would need them while I was here. I brought my boots, but not, you can't walk all over the place in those boots. So I've just been wearing my sandals. A lot of people just wear sandals, not shoes and socks. It was okay. But still, I was surprised. So that's my digression about the weather. I have the heater on. Like one of the hotel rooms, the heater wasn't working. And so I had 3 extra blankets. And this room, the heater's working. I have it on, and they told me that it'll be hot during the day. When I was in Aswan and other places, it was not hot during the day. It was still kind of chilly during the day. But as we move further upwards, it's been warm during the day, but still cool. Not like, like in June or August or even October. And of course, this is the high season. I didn't realize that everything is more expensive because people are escaping the cold, And back to the festival, it's not the kind of festival you imagine where there's booths and vendors and bands playing. It's pure chaos. Everybody rushes to get there before sunrise, and then everyone rushes into the temple. When I was here in October, I almost got trampled. And this time, it was even less organized than it was the first time. And I'm not coming back for this experience. I've experienced it, and I know what it's like. I'm not doing that again. But I would recommend experiencing it because you get to connect with the locals, with the people, and you just really get a good sense of life in Egypt. But no, I won't be returning for that experience. Okay, so anyway, back to the music. Oh, there's a beautiful comment. Oh, dua Sebai Maa Dr. I'm not an Egyptologist, so that was just my own personal observation or reflection based on the book that I'm reading by Sebai Maa on the priests and priestesses. Oops, and I have to shout out to Sehu Capital, who's the one who recommended that I read that book, because I didn't, I never really thought about it reading it. For some reason, I didn't think it applied to me. But he challenged me to write a song about the life of the priests and priestesses in ancient Kemet. And it's taken me a long time to read the whole book. When I got to the middle, I can't remember which chapter it was, but it's the chapter, the description of the song he challenged me to write is the title of the chapter. And so I wrote to him telling him that I finally read the chapter, but I'm going to finish the book before I write the song. And I'm going to be sharing one of the verses, one of the aspects of the song. But anyway, this song is this song is the first the first part is about the purification of the heart, how we want it to be as light as a feather. And the second part is about knowing the difference between the real and the unreal. And this song actually is a reflection of a ongoing conversation I've been having with Sebai Maa when I was feeling really down while I was still in Chicago, and then when I was having my difficult night here in Kemet, and I was crying a lot, and I just wanted to feel better, and so this song came through. Let's see if I can remember, and I can type out the lyrics. They're not too long. Okay. Heart as light as a feather, Tua Ma'at. To know the difference between the real and the unreal, Tua An. Where did I find this instrument? I found this instrument outside of the Temple of Heru at Edfu. There's some vendors there. And one of my goals on this trip is to not spend a lot of money because I don't have it this time. I love supporting artists and vendors. That's, if I have a weakness or a passion, I'll just, buy things just to support them. But on this trip, I was like, I'm not buying anything. I know exactly what I want. It's not in this town. I'm not buying anything. I, only have this much money. I'm not looking at them. I'm just going to the temple and going back to the car. But while we were walking through the market on the way to the Temple of Heru, there was a vendor selling, he had 4 harps like this. They were all different. This one, it took me a while to choose one. This one has a camel. Then there was one with the 3 musicians, the 3 lady musicians. And then there was one with, what was it? It wasn't a camel. It was, I don't remember what the other 2 were, but I finally chose this one. And at first, Adam, when we were walking to the temple, Adam was like, no, don't buy it here. We'll find one. He didn't see the harp. I just said, hey, Adam, look at this harp. I just want to know how much it is. I asked him how much it was. And the vendor wouldn't tell me how much it was. He says, when you come back, we'll talk about it. And I was like, Adam, there's a harp. He said, oh, no. We'll find one at a better price when we get to Luxor. So I went to the temple, had my experience, and then when we were walking back, he was like, oh no, we're not going to find that anywhere. Let's talk to him about the price. So the vendors which, I said, well, how much is it? And he was like, well, it's this much. And let's talk about the price. And I said, talk to Adam. I'm not good at, bargaining for the prices, because I always feel sorry for the vendor. And I'm a vendor too. I don't want to insult them. I know they need money for their family. So I'll usually just pay what they say. And the vendor, he looked at me and he looked at Adam. He said, Adam is the best tour guide in Egypt. I can't bargain with him. I'm not going to. And let me just take a minute to big up Abdelaziz Adam. He is the best tour guide in Egypt. I would have to agree. Everywhere we go, everyone knows him. They all light up when they see him. He knows all the guards. He knows all the guardians. He knows all the police. He knows all the inspectors. Everywhere we go, oh, this is my cousin. Oh, this is my friend from Abdu. People will come up to him and he doesn't recognize them at first, and turns out they're from Abydos. So he's been doing a great job everywhere we go, making sure that I'm protected. He, made sure I got the medication from the dentist. One hotel I stayed at, they didn't have fruit. He brought me fruit in the mornings. And I've only had one other tour guide, so I don't know if I can say he's the best tour guide in Egypt, but I really feel that he is, because he has, spiritual awareness and spiritual understanding of the teachings. And of course, since he works with our preceptors, he's got to be the best, because they work with him. So he's got to be the best, because I know they've been here a lot, and they're choosing to work with him. So again, if you'd like to work with him, if you want to come with our spiritual preceptors, Sebai Maa and Sebai Jah, you go to EgyptianYoga.com. I believe Sebai Jah has a trip planned for 2021. Or if you'd like to plan your own personal tour with Abdelaziz, you go to SacredJourneyEgypt.com. Okay. So anyway, back to the music. I typed out the lyrics. I told you about the harp. Oh, and I think this, even though I got it in Edfu, it's from Nubia. This is some Nubian Wood, and I'm really enjoying playing it. It's the way the tones are arranged. They're not arranged in the order you would expect. It goes, instead of going from, I number them 1, 2, 3, 4. The melody goes 1, 3, 2, 4. So I just love working with the numbers. Okay. So I typed out the lyrics. Heart as light as a feather, dua ma'at. To know the difference between the real and unreal, dua anpu. Anpu is the opener of the ways. Anpu is the son of Nebuchadnezzar and Asar. And it's a very long story. But Anpu represents our discernment. And Anpu is the one that leads the souls to the neural pathways of the Duat. Anpu is the brother of Heru. And he was supposed to be the son of Set, but he was not. And that is where all the troubles began. So I would refer you to the Asarian Resurrection book by Sebai Maa. And there's a wonderful course they're teaching now on the Temple of Asar. He just produced a magnificent book about the Temple of Abdu. And when I finish the Temple of Aset course, maybe one day I will take that class as well. But for now, I'm going to offer this music. Check my notes. You know what? I'm going to review this quickly. And there's just one more song. If you have to go, I'm sorry if I'm keeping you past your allotted time. Let me slow down. I'm excited. Oh, wait, just some more comments. No, not the Temple of HetHeru, Temple of Heru at Edfu. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Temple of Heru at Edfu. So I hope that's still perfect. Victory. This is better. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, 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 Uab Ra-Tem. Tell the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. To know the difference between what is real and unreal, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather, Uab Ra-Tem. Heart as light as a feather to Amun. Heart as light as a feather to Amun. To know the difference between what is real and unreal. Do unprove. To know the difference between what is real and unreal. Do unprove. Hotep. Yes, that song is very near and dear to this heart, to the heart of this aspirant. Hotep. Okay. So I have one more offering, musical offering to the divinities. And this one is, like I mentioned earlier, Sehu Kepra challenged me to write a song based on the book of the priests and priestesses that I've been reading by Dr. Muata Ashby, Sebai Maa. And it's not going to be just one, simple chant. It's going to be like a series of chants or songs. And this is the first part that I have worked out. And if you're familiar with my sound healing practice, it's called Kemet tones, Keme, capital Tones, because I use the tuning forks to attune to the planets and the corresponding neters. And when my younger daughter, Yuvia, first saw the name, the way it was written out, she says, "Oh, Mom, that also looks like Kemet ones, Kemet, capital Ones. So this song is called the Kemet ones, even though that's not like a traditional Tyrian name. That's no need to be sorry. I may have made a mistake. I may have said HetHeru, but it's Temple of Heru at Edfu. So this chant is called the Kemet ones. And I don't know it by heart, so I'm using my lyric sheet. And I'm going to listen to the recording before I offer it, just to make sure I'm playing it correctly. And I wrote this song in 2019, in October 14th. And I was probably feeling a certain way because I had planned on, going to Kemet at that time for the festival at Abu Simbel. So I'm sure this song is connected to that feeling. Oops, that's the wrong one. Wait, no, this one. Okay. And I really like this melody because it reminds me of a song by Burning Spear, which is one of my favorite reggae artists. So it's, even though I'm offering it with the acoustic instruments, there's some of the songs, the devotional songs, that I choose to record with the band. And I'm sure this one, I can see my bass player, Hiram, playing that. So the next CDs that I release, I'm going to have two. One will be, the acoustic for prayer and meditation, and the other one will be, it'll still be the devotional music, but I guess it'll be, I don't know if it would be called secular because it's still the teachings, but it's with a modern instrumentation. Yeah, I won't call it secular, it'll be modern instrumentation. So, and like I say, I didn't really plan on offering this one tonight, but I'm going to do it. So I may or may not make a mistake, and I'll just keep going. Let's see. Happy are they who celebrate Your Majesty, O great God. Happy are they who... I can't even read because I have my glasses. Let me start again. I have to hold them up close. Let's start again. Happy are they who celebrate your Majesty, O great God. Happy are they who serve your temple continuously. We are the ones who elevate your power. We are the ones who exalt your grandeur. We are the ones whose hearts are filled by you. We are the ones who go on your path. We are the ones that come on your water. We are the ones concerned with your Majesty's plans. Happy are they who celebrate your Majesty, O great God. Happy are they who serve your temple continuously. We are the ones who elevate your power. We are the ones who exalt your grandeur. We are the ones whose hearts are filled by you. We are the ones who go on your path. We are the ones that came on your water. We are the ones concerned with your Majesty's plans. One more time. Happy are they who celebrate your Majesty, O great God. Happy are they who serve your temple continuously. We are the ones who elevate your power. We are the ones who exalt your grandeur. We are the ones whose hearts are filled by you. We are the ones who go on your path. The ones that came on your water. We are the ones concerned with your Majesty's plans. Hotep. Yes, that is part 1 of the song of the priests and priestesses. That was given to me as a challenge by Hotep Ra. These are the lyrics straight from the teachings presented by Sebai Maa in the book, The Priests and Priestesses of Ancient Egypt. I didn't make any changes. The melody just came through one day. I don't know. I don't have an explanation for that. That just happens to be how I write songs. But I wanted to add something about serve the temple continuously. When I read that passage, I was like, how can you serve continuously? I mean, I'm doing my very best to do my devotions 2-3 times a day, sometimes only once a day. Sometimes I only have time for brief meditation, to get down on myself. And, I know I'm working to balance spiritual and physical realities, but I really was trying to understand, how can I serve the temple continuously? How can I make offerings unceasingly? I think that's another line from one of the other parts of this chant or this song. So while I've been in Kemet, let's see, where was I? I know I wrote it down in my notes somewhere. I don't know where I was when this came to me, but I was trying to understand, why I want to keep coming back, why I want to do this musical initiatic tour, why I want to keep visiting these sites. And when you're in the temple, you see the kings or the queens are, they're portrayed making offerings to the deities, like it's offerings, 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 offerings. My name Arit means offerings. I'm like, okay, like how can I do this? I just, I don't know how I can do this. And then it came to me that I go to the temples, or we go to the temples to make offerings. We go from temple to temple to temple to make offerings to the various deities, the various aspects of Nebuchadnezzar, to our divinity. At the pilgrimage that I was able to make with this preceptor Sebai Maa Dr. in 2017, where we spent several days at Abdu, which was amazing. We learned about the royal personality, who's an enlightened being, making offerings to their divinity. And even in my name, she who sings and makes offerings to her divinity. When I first read that, I was like, he doesn't even mean the divinity or tutelary divinity. But now I know it means to, in my case, to my divinity. But we make offerings to our divinity. And we learned about how, it's really about there's no separation between the royal personality and the divinity. And then also do a Sebai Maa representing the Ra Cheft charity Neter meditation, which I had planned on offering, but I'm not, because I've already keeping you 2 hours. And she has a wonderful offering of the meditation at the Kemet University class. You can sign up and watch the replays. And I thought that the series had ended, but it's still going on. I didn't really understand that. I'm not able to participate fully because there's no heat where I'm living, and it's just really hard to meditate in the cold. And I'm not able to clean myself because there's no running water because the pipes are frozen. Anyway, so the way that this musician aspirant is making offerings continuously and turning the mind towards the divine and away from worldliness, continuously and unceasingly making offerings, is, I chant out loud, which is wonderful, but sometimes, when you're out in public, it's not practical to chant out loud. So chants have just been running through my mind unceasingly. Like in the past, I'd have I gotta pay the bills. Oh, I gotta do that, in my mind. Oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that person did. Oh, look at that dress. Oh, look at the beautiful sky. Oh, look at the sun. Oh, look at the flower. Oh, look, there's a cat. Like just random thoughts, or sometimes not random thoughts. Sometimes, I'll get, reflections, or what some people call downloads, like, direct messages or guidance or what have you. But nowadays, since I've been here, chants are continuously running through my mind. I'm constantly, if I'm doing something, I'm still chanting in my mind. Even if I'm talking to someone, I'm somehow chanting in my mind. So I'm very grateful for this musical initiatic spiritual healing journey, because I've learned these two major aspects from my practice. One about the blind harpist, the musician who's blind to the illusoriness and the worldliness, and also taking better care of myself. And then two, about these unceasing, continuous offerings. So that is the Ancient African Adorations for February 28th / February 29th, because it's February 29th here in Egypt. Live streaming to you from the Elite Pyramid Hotel. I don't know the address, but this hotel is 3 months old. It's fabulous. The accommodations are amazing. The staff is amazing. And I highly recommend you staying here the next time you come to Cairo. If this presentation has resonated with you, it would be highly appreciated if you would consider making an offering to paypal.me/Tchiya Amet, or Cash App at Amet El Ma'at. And it would be very appreciated. And thank you again to those of you that have made donations in the past, especially Ma'at Middleton, uh, Bastu Baket Asura, Asar Dr. Ma'at Lewis, and Bastu Tut Aku Aset Ma'at. Those are the ones that I know personally and remember, and I am so appreciative of your loving support. Do a Sebai Maa, do a Sebai job for presenting these teachings and for being my spiritual mommy and daddy since my mother died 10 years ago when I first came to the first retreat. And I kind of adopted them as my spiritual parents. And I'm very appreciative to them for all the work that they do to share the teachings and present the teachings so that we can all move forward towards our enlightenment with our purified hearts. And I will be back here in 2 weeks. Let's see, what's the date of that? That will be, lucky Friday, March the 13th. 13 is my lucky number. For the next edition of Ancient African Adorations, will be live streamed back from Chicago. I'll be leaving here on March 3rd. I'll be home on March 4th. And I'm looking forward to, speaking with you or talking to you and making offerings with you, studying with you, learning with you, and being with you again someday soon. Do it again for joining me and for sticking around to the end. Hotep, Hotep.